The Kasrkins are elite troops of the Astra Militarum, and were dedicated to the security of the fortress world of Cadia, from which they once hailed. Because they are elite special forces troops drawn from the same world as the existing Cadian shock troops regiments of the Imperial Guard, the Kasrkins are officially classified by the Departamento Munitorum as the type of Tempestus scions known as Grenadiers because of their heavy weapons and elite tactical training. Their name comes from the title of the fortress cities of Cadia, which are called Kasrs in the native Cadian dialect of Low Gothic. The Kasrkins were the elite of the already skilled Cadian planetary military forces and were chosen to serve in the Astra Militarum when they were still serving as White Shields, new recruits, in the Cadian planetary defense forces. Their training is even more grueling than that of the elite Imperial stormtroopers. Kasrkins are the Cadian equivalent of the stormtroopers, and they were utterly dedicated to the preservation of Cadia, whereas Imperial stormtroopers are indoctrinated to provide for the defense of the entire Imperium of man. Kasrkins soldiers were well known amongst the stormtrooper regiments assigned to Cadia, and are renowned for their ability to remain cool under fire in combat situations where even many other veteran Cadian guardsmen would break. In the wake of the destruction of Cadia during the 13th Black Crusade, many Kasrkins units are still employed, and seek to pass on their training and standards to a new generation of Cadian survivors and their descendants who will face the arch-enemy in a never-ending quest for vengeance for their lost world. The Cadian shock troops are already known throughout the Imperium as a highly skilled and disciplined force, so the ranks of the Kasrkins are truly amongst the best of the best in the Astra Militarum. Many potential recruits for the Kasrkins were chosen at a young age when they were still serving as White Shields, new recruits, in the Cadian planetary defense forces within the Cadian Youth Army. Those who are chosen must first prove themselves in the Cadian shock troops and become hardened veterans before they are guided to the Kasrkins. Punishing regimes of additional training in the harshest war zones tempers each Kasrkins into a hardened fighter who is capable of facing the horrors of battle in the 41st millennium. To serve in the Kasrkins is a great honor, for they are amongst the finest troops in the Imperium. However, much is expected of such warriors. The Kasrkins are constantly placed in the fiercest fighting, sent into battle against deadly foes, and relied upon to act above and beyond the call of duty in the Emperor's name. The role of valor for the Kasrkins is long and well respected, for they are warriors of exceptional courage. Many times the tide of battle has been turned by the precise firepower and iron discipline of the Kasrkins. Kasrkins are highly trained in the use of numerous heavy weapons, and are entrusted with special war gear of high quality and rare craftsmanship, such as their hellguns and hotshot lasguns, which are much more powerful versions of the normal lasgun used by regular guardsmen. They wear carapace armor and helmets sealed for hazardous environments. This armor also deflects and absorbs incoming projectiles far better than standard Astra Militarum flak armor. Kasrkins are also given minor biological modifications, increasing their resilience while allowing them to move quickly despite their heavier gear. Kasrkins sergeants often wield rare and powerful war gear more commonly used by Astra Militarum officers, such as power swords and hotshot las pistols. The Kasrkins can carry special weapons suited to their assault role on the battlefield and exceptional marksmanship, including plasma guns, melter guns, grenade launchers, and flamers. True to their nature as grenadiers, the Kasrkins carry both frag grenades and crack grenades and are extensively trained in the use of these weapons. Some chroniclers amongst the Tactica Imperialis have recorded a number of difficult firefights in the Kasrkins' history that were resolved by the creative application of grenades. Even when Kasrkins troopers are not equipped with their full panoply of war, they are still instantly recognizable. Aside from their heavily muscled physiques, they all bear the brand of the Caduceus Sea Eagle on their necks, marking them out as members of the Cadian elite. The Kasrkins also have a distinct ethos of duty and honor that is impressive for members of the Astra Militarum, who are usually far more interested simply in staying alive. Whereas the standard stormtrooper is looked down upon by many different regiments of Imperial Guardsmen for their elite status, the Kasrkins are looked upon with great favor among the standard regiments of Cadian shock troops. After generation upon generation of conflict against the terrors of the warp and the mortal champions of the ruinous powers, the Kasrkins have become extremely regimented in their thinking and regard the strict culture of lost Cadia as a critical mental defense against such horrors. They are the ultimate warriors of the Astra Militarum who fought against the forces of chaos, having led the charge in the failed defence of Cadia from the forces of Abaddon's 13th Black Crusade in say 999, M41. To be a Kasrkin is to hold a position of honour, and all Cadians recognise this truth and the role they played in defending their lost world.